What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is John Robertson from Hand Me The Aux, and today we're here. It's finally out after weeks and weeks of speculation. The brand new Kendrick Lamar album, Damn. Damn is the 5th studio release from the Compton rapper. It is coming off the back of the incredibly successful album To Pimp a Butterfly that he released in 2015. And Damn is a different sort of album from Kendrick Lamar. We've seen kind of this progression, this maturity of Kendrick Lamar, kind of this self-realization of him becoming one of the premier rappers right now in the world. He's really kind of blown up over the past couple of years. He started with Good Kid, Mad City, and then of course To Pimp a Butterfly in 2015, and now Damn, which is probably his most highly sought after album. There's been a lot of hype on social media, and Kendrick did not fail to deliver on this album. What I liked about Damn, first of all, is that Kendrick Lamar proved that you don't have to be into old hip-hop or have to be a hip-hop head to listen to this album. Kendrick Lamar talks about a lot of really simple ideas on Damn, and I think that's something that Kendrick is kind of moving away from, because on To Pimp a Butterfly, it was really dense and it had a lot to it. And you really had to listen to it 5, 6, 7 times to really even understand half of what he was saying, at least in my experience. The build-up to this album, there was a single released on, I think, well, there was No Heart Part 4 that Kendrick generally releases a No Heart song. It's been a series. It's been coming out since before Good Kid, Mad City, possibly even before Section 80. It kind of is it signals the release of a Kendrick Lamar album. There's one coming. And The Heart Part 4 came out. He said that on April 7th, y'all better have your shit together. And come April 7th, he dropped a track list, which kind of let us down, definitely, myself in particular. Kind of looked stupid on Twitter saying that we were going to have a review out on the 7th, but here we are now. So, in between that time, Kendrick dropped Humble, produced by Mike Will Made It, which the video, of course, has gone viral. It's got hundreds of millions of views. It's certainly one of the more provocative rap videos that we've seen in the last few years, which is saying something, but it's not in the way of projecting nudity or drugs or alcohol. It's Kendrick equating himself to religion and talking about religion and showing himself in religious garb, which is not surprising. I really enjoyed the video. I thought it was well done, and I thought the song was good. Michael made it with that hard piano riff and simple 808s. It's a simple beat, but it goes really hard. So on to Damn. Damn really talks about the overall theme of Damn is life and death. And we see that on Blood, which is the first track skit off of the album, and it's Kendrick going down the street. He sees a blind woman, asks the blind woman if she needs any help. Blind woman says, oh, no, she's not really answering anything, and then Kendrick keeps asking. He's like, oh, are you looking for something? Have you found it? And the woman turns around and says, well, you have lost something, your life. And actually they shoot Kendrick in the album. And that's the first instance of the battle between life and death that we see a lot on this album. And for Kendrick, death has always been something that he's really kind of not shied away from. When he's talked about on his albums, on Good Kid, Mad City, he had Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst, which is an incredibly powerful song about life and death. If you haven't listened to that, I would definitely advise checking out that song. And on To Pimp a Butterfly, it's a lot of overarching themes. When you listen to Kendrick Lamar album, there's generally one big theme, and then there's a lot of other smaller themes. So life and death is the overarching theme here, but there are a lot of intricacies to this album. In particular, Kendrick likes to talk about his fame and how it affects him and how it affects his image and how he looks at himself and how he projects himself to the world and how he's worried about, am I saying the right things? I have all of this responsibility and all of this momentum, and am I doing it the right way? Another thing that we see Kendrick touch on this album is something that we've seen him talk about before. It's his public image versus his private life. And we see it's a battle throughout this album, kind of like how it was on To Pimp a Butterfly, where we saw Kendrick kind of go in between kind of being sane and confident and out in public and exuding confidence, and look at me, I'm one of the best rappers alive, look, I have all this money, I have all this influence, and then the inside the inner demons of Kendrick Lamar really come out on parts of that track, and it's nothing new here. On the track Element, we see Kendrick flaunting himself. I'm the best rapper alive. I'm in my element. This is where I thrive. I thrive in being in the spotlight. I'm the one who can handle this. But when we go to Feel, which is a track later on in the album, and Kendrick, the chorus on this, ain't nobody praying for me, ain't nobody praying for me, ain't nobody praying for me. And Kendrick, really, here you start to see that other side, that human side, that questioning, does anyone really care about what I'm saying, or am I just another big rapper? And that kind of connects into the morals that he likes to talk about on this album, and both good morals and bad morals. And Lust is something that kind of piggybacks off of Feel, in a way that Lust talks about, of course, the obvious signs of lust, sexual lust, financial lust, wanting as much money as Kendrick Lamar has, and then also reputational lust, where a lot of people want the influence that Kendrick Lamar has over America, really. And one of my favorite lines off of this entire album is, America's reflections of me, that's what a mirror does. And he's saying that's what a mirror does, but he's reflecting it to say, oh, well, I start trends in America. I'm one of the biggest rappers, for better or worse. What I say, a lot of people tend to use that in their daily life and their rationale and how they look at things. And we see Kendrick really struggle with that throughout the album. We see Kendrick really go into something that is becoming more and more apparent in our society, is that rappers and musicians, and really just those celebrities in general, seem to have a major influence over how non-celebrities live day to day, especially with the rise of social media. We see celebrities all the time. Anyone who's posting on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook all the time, I mean, people are seeing them. You see fan accounts for these people. People are obsessed. And that can go to any person's head. And we see Kendrick fight with that throughout this entire album. It's Kendrick being himself and wanting to promote a good image, but then also getting caught up in this incredible amount of obsession that some people have over his music and his life. And one song that I feel that Kendrick really did a good job of kind of showing his personal life was on Love. And Love is essentially a love song, and it's about his fiance, who he's been with since high school, and he really has never gone very public with his relationship. He's never flaunted it on social media. He's never made it. It's never been like a big deal for him. And we've seen that with other rappers too. We saw J. Cole had a child not too long ago, and nobody knew about it. And especially in this day and age where people can figure out what I had for breakfast 3 days ago. I don't know what I had for breakfast 3 days ago, but there's a way that someone can figure it out. Being able to have a private relationship is something to be admired, I believe. And Kendrick really, it's really impressive that Kendrick has been able to do that. And really the overarching topic, of course, is life and death. And life and death and religion a lot of times go hand in hand. And we see in particular, the last two tracks. We have God, which of course, self-titled, or titled about God and religion. And we see Kendrick kind of plays into both sides of himself on one song, which is pretty impressive. On the first verse, we see Kendrick rapping about luxury and saying, this is what God must feel like. Saying, oh, I've got all this money, I've got all this influence, look at me, nobody can touch me. And then the second verse is Kendrick coming back at himself, saying, what are you doing? You're not untouchable. You're not greater than God. You're not the king of the world. People may gas you up on social media and say that you are, and say that you have incredible music, but a lot of those people just want to be a part of it. They don't really have a personal vested interest, and that's going back to what he was talking about on Fields. Does anyone really care about the man that is Kendrick Lamar, not the artist? And I think that that's really something that only Kendrick Lamar could talk about, because Kendrick Lamar doesn't have the stigma of being super flashy or kind of shoving away from any sort of serious conversations on his albums. And I think that God does a very good job of that. And chastising yourself on your own album is pretty rare. We don't see a lot of rappers chastise themselves. The standout tracks on this album for me would of course be XXX, which was one of my favorites. Fear is also another great song off this album. It's Kendrick Lamar being at his core, I think, what makes him the best. He's a great storyteller. And if you want to show your friend one song off this album, you've got 5 or 6 minutes to prove to them why Kendrick Lamar is a great rapper or is a great storyteller, this is the song you should show them. It's Kendrick Lamar. It's 3 verses, and the first verse he's 7 years old, in the second verse he's 17 years old, and the third verse he's 27 years old. So we're seeing the maturity of Kendrick Lamar. In the first verse, he talks about how he's afraid of his mother, the ultimate authority figure when you're a child. And then when he's 17, he's talking about how he's scared to die young because he's caught up in Compton, where there's a lot of gang violence and police brutality. And it's hard for someone to come out of that and be as successful as Kendrick Lamar is. And just like any other human who'd be caught in a situation like that, or just scared that they aren't going to make it, Kendrick really makes those feelings palpable on this track. And then when he's 27, which was 2 years ago when To Pimp a Butterfly came out, Kendrick Lamar was afraid of being judged. This is a genuine human being with genuine human emotions. This is not someone who is obsessed with how much ice he has, someone who's obsessed with how many cars he has, how many girls he's got. Kendrick Lamar is, at his core, someone who can tell a story that a lot of people can empathize with. And that's really been lost in modern rap music, in my opinion. And Kendrick Lamar, overall on this album, did an incredible job of talking about life and death, talking about values, talking about his personal and public life, and then talking about God. And none of those things are difficult for the average hip-hop fan to understand. And I think that's what makes this album, it's what's going to give this album a lot of staying power. It's less dense than To Pimp a Butterfly, and I think that really gives the average listener of something to kind of gravitate towards. You've got your club hits on there. You've got DNA. DNA, of course. You have Humble, which was the single released, produced by Michael Made It for this album. You've got Loyalty, I'm sure Kendrick Lamar and Rihanna, that'll make it into the clubs. And then you've got your kind of classic Kendrick Lamar songs. You've got Fear, you've got God, you've got Element, you've got XXX. I really feel that Kendrick Lamar manages to blend everything that has made him great up to this point and produce something better. And overall, I would give this album a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this project. I was expecting a lot, and I feel like he did a good job in putting himself out there and putting his stamp on this part of rap music and this climate in America right now. There's not going to be a Kendrick Lamar album for a while. There's a lot of rumors going around that he's going to drop a new album, Nation, or something like that. I don't want him to. I think that this is everything that Kendrick Lamar needed to say. And if you haven't already listened to this album, I think that this is an incredibly powerful piece, and it's a learning lesson for you. I think that it'd be good to kind of go on and expand. If you don't listen to Kendrick Lamar, then give him a shot. I think this would be a great album to start on. So, once again, folks, my name is John Robertson from Hand Me The Aux. If you want more awesome reviews and content all from music, pop culture, whatever, you can go to handmetheaux.com. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This is our first ever video review, and like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff from myself or anyone else on the Hand Me The Aux team. And like I said, my name is John Robertson. I hope you guys have an awesome day.